Hello YouTube, I'm back for the second episode of my Football Manager 2017 beta series here with Everton. Now since the last episode I've gone forward quite a bit in the pre-season, as you can see. We're now on the 3rd of August 2016. In that time I've played some pre-season friendlies which I will show you in a minute, but most notably I've made some transfer dealings. Now the first transfer we've brought in is a new goalkeeper. I immediately identified this as an area where I wanted to strengthen because Joel Robles is only 2.5 stars and Martin Stecklenburg is only 3 stars and is 33 years old, so isn't likely to get any better in the future. Now the man I've brought in is Matthew Ryan. He's a 24-year-old Australian international goalkeeper. He was actually playing at Valencia last season, and we've signed him from them for just £10 million, which isn't bad at all in terms of 3.5-star goalkeepers that my scouts found. He was far and away the most reasonably priced one, so that's pretty much why I went for him. That and the fact he's quite young and has potential ability of 4 stars. He's already 3.5 stars, which means that he's definitely going to be our number one and definitely going to be our first choice goalkeeper. Now, as you can see, he does have some pretty solid stats as is. His goalkeeping stats are all pretty solid. Kicking is a particular strength, as you can see, it's 17, but his passing is also quite good, as is his rushing out, and the rest are just pretty solid, including reflexes at 14. Mentals again are pretty solid, determination the standout with 17, and physicals are also pretty solid for him as well, as you can see there, all between 13 and 15. So yeah, I was pretty pleased to be able to bring him in. It could eventually rise to 12 million, what we've paid for him, depending on how he does for us, but again, still pretty cheap. Second position I identified that we needed to strengthen was at centre back, where we only had 3 options, and 2 of the 3, Phil Jagielka and Ashley Williams, are obviously over 30, so I wanted to bring in someone a bit younger and who could give us a solid option in defence. And the first guy we brought in there is Marcelo, who is a 27-year-old Brazilian defender, was playing in the Portuguese league for Rio Ave. We've signed him to £3.5 million up front, but it could rise to, I think, just over 4 million if he does well for us. As you can see here, his stats are pretty impressive, actually, defensively. The main stats, I think, 2 of the main stats you look for in defender are obviously marking and tackling, both are 15 for him. His passing is also 15. His technique and heading are both at 13 as well, which is pretty solid. And his first touch is a passable 11. His mental stats, again, those are pretty solid. You can see lots of 13s, 14s and 15s in there. And his physical stats, again, all of those are between 13 and 14, apart from acceleration, which is 12. But probably not an area where you need to be necessarily that quick in defence. So I'm pretty happy with him, especially at such a low price. I also identified that we needed more cover at right back, because obviously at the start of the game Seamus Coleman is out injured for quite a while. So I had a look through my scout list, and this guy really stood out to me. Joel Veltman, 24-year-old Dutch international. I've actually signed him on the previous Football Manager a couple of times for various clubs, because on that game he had very good potential ability. Obviously a graduate of Ajax is really strong youth academy. He's done well in the Dutch league. As you can see, potential ability of 3.5 stars. He's already got a 3-star current ability, which is pretty good as well. The other good thing I like about Joel Veltman is not only is he natural at right back, which is the main position we need him for, but he's also natural at centre back, so he can cover there for us as well. You can see tackling is a definite strong point for him. It's already 16, and he has the potential to get better in future, of course. His marking is pretty solid at 14, as is heading and passing at 13 and 12. You can see his mental stats again are pretty solid. Determination and positioning in particular, though, stand out, both at 16. And again, another player who's got some all-round pretty solid physical stats, all of them between 12 and 15. The fourth signing I made was another defensive signing, which was this guy, Jeremy Morel, an experienced French defender. The main reason I signed him is because Brian Oviedo got injured in pre-season, and I thought, we don't really have another guy who can play at left back, so I thought I'd better bring this guy in because he can play at left back. He's also natural at centre back, so again gives us an option there, but he's not really that good there, so I'm probably going to mainly be using him as a left back, and he's not obviously going to be first choice. But I thought as a stopgap option just for the next year or so, as backup for Oviedo and Baines, he's probably not the worst guy to have around. You can see he's got some solid stats there, tackling and marking both 14, which isn't too bad. His mental stats again are pretty solid, anticipation and determination stand out at 16 and 15. His teamwork's also good at 15. Again, some pretty solid physical stats, only really the jumping reach, which is quite low at 10, that's particularly an area of concern for him. Another area that I identified that we needed to improve was to have a backup for Ross Barkley in the attacking midfield centre role. And the guy I've gone for there was the guy who I managed to pick up on a free transfer. He's only going to be playing for us for 1 season because he is retiring at the end of the year, but it is a man who pretty much everyone in the football world will have heard of. It's Ronaldinho. And he is a guy who obviously has had an incredible career, hugely successful career with both Paris Saint-Germain, Barcelona and AC Milan during the peak of his career in Europe. Been playing away in Brazil and Mexico in recent years and doing okay there. Now, the reason I decided to go for Ronaldinho rather than go for someone younger is, one, there was no one really standing out for me. And I kind of felt like if there's no one really standing out, then I wanted someone who could maybe play in a defensive midfield position as well, because I've switched from playing with central midfielders in my formation to playing with defensive midfielders, just because I think that gives us that little bit more security at the back, because we were first couple of friendlies I wasn't happy with the balance defensively at all. So, but yeah, I think Ronaldinho will do us quite well for the season that we will have him for, just as a backup to play a few games in if Ross Barkley gets injured or something. His technical stats are still pretty ridiculous. I mean, crossing 17, dribbling 18, first touch 18, free kick taking 19, passing 16, penalties 17, technique 20. He's got some pretty impressive mental stats still as well. Decisions 16, flair 20, and vision 20. It's his physical stats that really sort of let down the side and show his age, really. His best stats being 11 for strength, jumping reach and balance, the others all well below 10. There's some other weaknesses mentally as well. Not that brave. His concentration, determination, positioning, and teamwork aren't great, nor is his work great, but that's perhaps understandable from a 36-year-old. And like I said, he's not going to be first choice, so that's probably not the end of the world. Now, we did have some players leave the club. Obviously, some of the youngsters I've loaned out, but the most notable departure was this guy, Ramiro Funes Mori, who has joined Tottenham. Now, before people complain at me about this, I had an initial offer from Tottenham of about £20 million for Funes Mori. I rejected that. Funes Mori then came to me and complained that he did want to leave and pretty much threatened to be an absolute nightmare for me in the dressing room if I didn't let him go. And I kind of thought, well, you know what? We've got enough options at centre-back now, having signed in Marcelo, having signed in Veltman, that you know, it's not the end of the world if he does leave. So I went back to Tottenham and I offered them him for 20 million again. They didn't offer me that much, but they did offer me a structured deal worth 14 million up front, 19 million in total, so I decided to accept that. A couple of other notable departures. Aruna Kone, we've loaned out to Bursaspor, which I think I probably pronounced that wrong, but there you go, in Turkey. Tried to sell him, no one would buy him, so he's been loaned out instead. Tom Cleverley has now been loaned out to West Brom. The reason I've loaned out Tom Cleverley is because, as you will see in a moment, and as I talked about briefly with Ronaldinho, I went for defensive midfielders instead of central midfielders, and as Cleverley can only really play central midfield, I felt it was only right that I should loan him out so he's still getting first team football. Nias, again a player I tried to sell unsuccessfully, so we've had to loan him out to Besiktas in Turkey, but hopefully that might lead to a permanent move away. Obviously, since we last met, I've also played through 4 pre-season friendlies. First game was against Melbourne City. We actually went a goal behind against them and were really struggling in that match. Ross Barkley equalised for us, but we really didn't play that well at all. So that kind of prompted me to change to defence and midfielders for the next game, which worked a lot better. We played a lot better against Western Sydney Wanderers, and we got a 3-1 victory there as well. Minnesota, again, frustrating performance. We didn't really perform in that game, which was quite annoying, and I'm not quite sure what went wrong there. And that finished a 1-1 draw. New York Cosmos, we dominated the game 1-2. Romelu Lukaku finding some form for us, finally netting a brace in that match. Today I'm going to be showing you the testimonial match that we're playing against Manchester United, the Wayne Rooney, because I thought that would be quite a good match to show. It would also give me a chance to show you what the game looks like, obviously because it's a new match engine and stuff that they've changed quite a bit. So let's get straight to that. As you can see, Man United v Everton. So I'm going to go with Ryan in goal, Veltman, Jagielka, Williams and Baines as my defenders. Defensive midfield, I'm going to put Adrissa and Barry. I'm then going to put, I think, Morales. I'm going to give Ronaldinho his debut and Delafeu with Lukaku up front. And the rest of these guys can all go on the bench. Obviously it's a pre-season game still. It is a testimonial, but it is still a friendly, so I can have as many substitutes as I like. In this case I've got 8 substitutes. Let's put Jagielka, defend. Let's put Ronaldinho on advanced playmaker support. So there we go, that's the lineup for today's match then. Matthew Ryan in goal as a sweeper keeper on support, because that's his best role, and he seems to have done quite well there for me so far. In defence, we've got Leighton Baines at left back, at full back on support, Veltman on the other side at right back on full back on support, 2 central defenders in Williams and Jagielka. We've then got Idris Sadai at defensive midfielder defend, and Gareth Barry as an anchorman on defend. Then got Delafeu as an inside forward on attack, Morales as a winger on attack on the other side, Ronaldinho obviously in as an advanced playmaker support, and Romelu Lukaku of course up front. Let's get straight to the action. As you can see, it's all these screens look pretty similar. Got my assistant on Teams, just because it's easier. If you're interested, the only instructions I've got on, I've not got many on. I've got fairly wide in terms of the team width, because we are playing with wide players. I've got quite good. I've got look for the overlap. I've got work the ball in the box. I've got run at the defence on. Those are the only things I have on at the moment in terms of instructions. Right, let's get into the match. As you can see, the 2D looks slightly different this year. You can actually see fans in the stand, which you couldn't in last year's game. So that's quite a nice little touch. And the 2D itself just looks a little bit clean, a little bit crisp, and obviously we've got the vanishing spray this year as well. We've got a chance here then with Matthew Baines, and it's completely messed up my commentary on that, but Gerard Delafeu has given us a 1-0 lead. Right, so let's have a look at the replay of this. Yeah, Leighton Baines with a lovely crossing, Lukaku heads it on, Morales hits the post, and then Gerard Delafeu with a lovely finish into the back of the net. And we are 1-0 up at Old Trafford. Well, that was a dull first half. The goal was the only thing that happened in it. Pre-season, so I'm going to make a couple of changes half-time. Ronaldinho lacking match sharpness, so I'm going to try and give him the full 90 minutes, even though he is 36. Let's bring on Darren Gibson for Gareth Barry, and let's put Marcelo in for Ashley Williams. And I'm going to bring on Aaron Lennon on the right as well. And that'll be our changes at time. Hopefully in the second half there'll be more to actually talk about in detail. As you can see, fairly even the first half, but the only real chance was a goal. Wayne Rooney taking it, Jagielka the way, John gets it away, Is Fletcher? Fletcher? I wonder which Fletcher that is. It could be Darren Fletcher, surely. Yeah, you could have a Fletcher, but obviously. Oh, it is Darren. I suppose. Oh, it must be because it's Wayne Rooney's testimonial. So Darren Fletcher is a former teammate of Rooney's as well. That's quite a cool feature. I didn't know you could do that. But here we come. Lennon, Delafeo. Oh, we should have scored that one. Surely, because we've got many more changes. I'm not going to make any more changes. I don't think. Just because I want to see how this team does, and obviously we want to. I don't really want to rock the boat too much with the Man United. We've got Italian, Romanian, Ibrahimovic. There's not the Williams. We've got it. We've got Ryan Coates with Lukaku. So Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho skipping past the Pogba. But he can Man United again with Ryan. Ibrahimovic and Mkhitaryan's in loads of space. Oh, I missed that quite badly. It's a bit of luck for us, really. 10 minutes to go. Into the Darwin, Rooney. Memphis has got space. And Memphis will score. And Man United will equalise. Oh well, it's only a testimony, but it would have been quite nice to win. But there you go. As you can see, this is the new match engine that just looks a lot nicer and a lot smoother, it seems to me, as well as much better quality than last year's match engine, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm enjoying watching it. I tend to watch on 2D for the main highlights and 3D for the actual replays, just because it's what I've done for quite a long time. Memphis. Causing his problems there, and we're going to shoot the free kick here. Rooney knocks it in to Rooney. Back to Rooney though, and Memphis will give our keeper an easy save. And injury time, our addresses will knock that out. Is that going to be full time? It is. 1-1 draw in Wayne Rooney's testimonial. Not too bad at all. I think we played quite well. I'm quite happy that we held our own there against Man United. May only be a pre-season game, but still, I'm pretty pleased with that. So there you go then. We've done some transfers. We're unbeaten in pre-season going into our final pre-season match against Barcelona. I've not done much with the staff yet, other than bringing in Roy Keane as assistant manager. Probably try and bring some staff in ahead of the next episode. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's going so far. And I'm enjoying the beta so far, actually, I have to say. The interface is really nice. The new sort of the mixture of green and white, the extra information you get is quite cool as well. One thing I do want to show you quickly, if I can. Oh, I'm trying to remember how you find. Is that it? No, I don't know what that is. I'm trying to find the social feed just to show you, but I can't remember how you find it. It's not on there. Is it on my homepage? No. Oh, well, I don't know how to find the social feed, but I was hoping I'd be able to show you it. Because it's quite a cool new feature they have in this year's game, social feed. Ah, here it is. Here's the social feed here then in the inbox. So yeah, as you can see, it just gives you quite a cool little rundown of a bit like Twitter really. So it's got sort of like reactions and news stories and things like that, and even got hashtags. So you can sort of click on these things and find out more. So there you go, Everton tweeting, as it were. It can be confirmed that a deal is arranged with Tottenham for the transfer of Bumayo Tomori. Then someone has tweeted that Tottenham are pleased to have signed him. Oh, and then we've got a couple of tweets from our supporter spokesman who's retweeted these saying, a good decision. Someone else has put, can someone explain why we've sold him? What are they thinking? Someone's put it's terrible news. As you can see, you get different reactions and stuff. So it's an interesting sort of new feature they've got on the game, which I actually quite like. And I do read through it a bit sometimes. I've found already. And as you can see here, it gives you like a match summary as well, which is quite nice. So you can see sort of the sort of team and which players did well. It gives you the best performance and worst performance on the pitch. It gives you the heat map for the positions. It gives you the highest pass completion. Gives you the key passes and mistakes. It's quite a nice little interface there just to have. And as you can see, these things are sort of in a separate window, but they give you quite a nice bit of information. So yeah, I think that's going to do for this episode. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of this series, or you want to see more of my Rory's Rovers series on Football Manager 2016, then please do hit the subscribe button. And if you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments. Okay then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.